Hello, everybody. How are we doing today? It's been a while. It's been a couple weeks since the last time that I went live on my channel. Um, as a quick update for everybody, my so my water heater started leaking, and it was like flooding my laundry room and stuff like that. So I had to learn how to replace that over the last 2 weeks, and learning about like the wiring, and I actually like was looking into different voltages and the process of like stepping up the gauge for my wire and changing out like the fuse voltage and installing an amp in the circuit. And it was a whole ordeal. It is now fixed. I have replaced my water heater successfully. No leaks. The water is hot. And then my birthday was a week ago. So I decided to take my birthday weekend last weekend, and just kind of relax, chill out. I was very light on Twitter and some of the research and stuff that I was doing. So all that's taken care of. I spent my birthday with my friends, and it was great. Got myself a small thing of scotch and a nice cigar, just to relax, practice a little hedonism, just to unwind and stuff. But I'm back, and I'm hoping to do a little bit more streams moving forward. So what I'm most likely going to start doing is streaming multiple times a week. I would love to do a live stream every single weekday. The issue that I kind of contend with a lot is that I don't want to just be sitting here like wasting your guys' time with no information or really anything to talk about. So it's one of those things where I think I just need to kind of diversify some of the things that I'm sort of researching and looking into. And what I would really, really like to do is kind of get like some opinions from you guys, as far as some of these ideas that I had go. Before this little break, I had floated the idea of maybe providing a number that people could call, where, say you don't have the capacity to live stream, or, you're not able to sort of engage with me on like a video call or anything like that, but you still wanted to maybe discuss a particular theory, or some sort of, thing that may be happening that's not on my radar, and you want to talk. I would have like a phone number that you guys would be able to call into. That's always still an option, if that's something people are interested in. I've considered doing like a Q&A type. I know people always have like more questions about me, and I was actually recently pressed on like my background and stuff like that. So if anybody's ever, interested in like stuff like that, like I'm gonna do my best not to like dox myself. But if people are curious about, my experiences or anything like that, I'm always happy to provide those as well. Um, One thing that I really would love to do is start to dip back into some of the investigations that we were kind of doing earlier this year. So that would be something like Racine and biodigital convergence, and continuing on like the Flynn network and things like that. Um, I'm not really sure like how much more into Flynn that I can do. I like the other day there was like a quick update that I saw where it's Mike Flynn's brother is a senior advisor at Palantir. I've added that. And I've pretty much talked it to death, but I will always, if people have more things I can put on there, expand it. Jake Lang was just in Dearborn, Michigan. And yesterday I saw a video of Mike Flynn singing him happy birthday while he was on a space with Mike Flynn while he was allegedly supposed to be incarcerated. So I'm not really sure how you host a space like that when you're supposed to be in jail. But that is besides the point. But I'm happy to do things like that. I'd love to start bringing back more guests as well, because I do think there are a lot of people that are providing like excellent information. I was able to go on. You guys may know the Twitter profile Return of Cappy. Good guy. Dave, he's a pretty nice guy. I've been on their podcast now twice. The first time was kind of all over the place. My ADHD kicked in and we talked about literally everything I think that I've ever researched. But the episode that we did yesterday was really good, and we started to what I wanted to do was press the issue of biodigital convergence, because I do think that is the most important topic, period. I think it supersedes basically everything. And I was able to use that recently released MIT study where they basically just admitted that they can do neuromodulation using graphene nanoparticles that have bypassed the blood-brain barrier into your neurons. And so that was really, really cool to be able to do, because they do have a much larger following than me. After a few talks with Dave, he's kind of like on the exact same page as far as his sentiments towards people like Mike Flynn and the Wellness Company and things like that. So that was really, really good to see. Usually when people have like a larger following like that, it automatically makes me skeptical, but it sounds like his head's in the right place. Can you please deep dive and share more info about Biofield and Aura? Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something that we can absolutely put on the list. How would you guys feel about maybe doing like an episode list together? So maybe talking about I would love to hear you on a podcast with Dave Collum. You would totally blow his mind. Dave Collum. I'm not sure I'm familiar. Need the holistic approach, zoom in and out on every single subject. They all intertwine. That I do agree. Great to see you on the Inverted World podcast yesterday, or was it the day before? Time flies. The day before. The day before. But that was great. Shane, I met Shane when I went to Bohemian Grove earlier this year, and I didn't really know who he was. I wasn't even aware of him like being on Timcast or anything like that. But he emceed Bohemian Grove. He was really funny. And I managed to kind of have like a side conversation with him. And I was like, hey, do you know about Peter Thiel and all this? And he, me and him were basically on the exact same page. Peter Thiel is evil. Technocracy is dystopian nightmare that nobody wants to live in. And things like that. And so I was like, yeah, absolutely. I'll come on the show and we'll talk about it. And he wants to have me back, which I think is really awesome. And happy to be back. If anything, providing him more information, because he has a larger platform than me, to maybe really drive home, where we're actually at in the agenda and the entire big picture of what we're looking at in the future. Do you listen to Sabrina Wallace? Yeah. I like Sabrina. I think Sabrina's great. I think that a lot of people kind of they don't really give her the benefit of the doubt. The like suspension of disbelief, if you will. Which is insane, because when you think about things like 9/11 or like the COVID operation that took place globally, you would think that people would be more willing to suspend their disbelief in things. And when it comes to like the sources they're providing and the documentation and stuff that come out of the synergist community, it's all white papers. So it's not like they're creating, like a fantasization or like a fantasy out of things. They point directly to like the white papers of the studies or the IEEE website or the NIH or whatever sort of official source. And I mean, that to me is like extremely damning when they can use nothing but stuff that's coming from the people they're trying to call out. It's almost like the best argument is one with the words of your opponent. Like if you can prove your point by just showing, the flaws in your opponent's argument, then you win. You don't even have to make a case for yourself. Um, D-Mind of Booma saying, and you would be a great connection. I actually had him on the podcast. I had him on as a guest a while back, and it was really good. I mean, he was talking to me about like the whole QAnon thing and his experience with that. And it was fascinating. And he's invited me to speak on his show. I can't remember what happened for the life of me. We were like in talks of scheduling, and then something happened on my end, where I kind of just like stopped communicating back and forth. Not really his fault at all. But I would love to pick that back up. And I see that he's even doing things now like they just had a game show style stream, him and Sabrina, that I thought was really, really creative. And a super cool way to just kind of like keep things engaging but educational. But yeah, excellent information coming out of them. When and another thing that's really interesting too is when it was probably close to a little under a year ago, when Ryan Sikorsky, he was connecting with me and kind of like starting to show me some things. And at that time I was still largely just talking about technocracy and things like Peter Thiel, and the PayPal mafia and stuff. And I was getting very, very warm receptions from a lot of people in like I guess the quote unquote truther community. I had that series that went on Iconic. I was in talks with like Derek Bros, and Whitney Webb started following me, and all these things. And then it was as I slowly started to move away from like technocracy being the end all be all of this agenda, and I started to focus a little bit more on DARPA and MIT and the Internet of Bodies and body area networks and things like that, and started talking like referencing biodigital convergence. I've noticed that like I don't really get referenced a whole lot anymore, and my posts don't get shared as often and things like that. And I'm not offended. People can share whatever they want, but I did notice a very, very succinct pattern of that. And it leads me to wonder why, and really just kind of like reevaluated my position. And I will be the first to tell people that I don't want to like be a leader or be in charge of anything. I don't really, I don't want to be a politician. I don't want to be in charge of an organization. I just kind of want people to live their life and help me resist these things. So whatever we have to do, and kind of just trying to educate people about what there is. It's because those people sell ads for nanotechnology cleansers. Yes. It may have lost you some cred in the commentator world, but gained you some hardcore support from your followers. And this info suggests we can't cleanse it. Yeah, exactly. That's what I think is crazy is, there was even, I just posted something about, nanotechnology today. Just kind of covering like the formation of nanoparticle gold, and then getting into like the Richard Feynman stuff and the coining of the term nanotechnology, and someone said, well, how do you suggest, what are some of your detox tips? And I don't have any. I don't know of a scientific way to get graphene oxide out of your brain. I don't know of a way to get micro sensors and nano sensors out of your bloodstream. The research that I'm seeing out of like what is it called? It's called circulartronics. And these are like nanoscale machines that are specifically designed to not get metabolized out of the body. And glad you are all on the same page. Watching you guys grow is awesome to witness, and yes, it's super sad, and you all aren't being utilized like we believed you would. We all appreciate you guys in so many ways. I appreciate that. But they engineer these things, and here's the most concerning part, right? Is that they're engineering these things to attach themselves to your immune system, which realistically is the only way that I truly believe that you can fight foreign entities in your body. Well, if they've designed these nano machines to attach themselves to your white blood cells so that they can't be attacked, then I don't really see of a better way to fight foreign materials in your body than your immune system. And, you know, it's not like they're going to make some sort of cleanse or anything like that to remove your white blood cells from your body. So if they're creating these nano machines to attach themselves to your white blood cells, the only way to cleanse your body of them would be to remove your white blood cells. And that probably isn't possible without killing you. So all the labels on food that say no GMO with the Masonic butterfly is actually GMO in the food. Isn't it nice? Yeah, see, it's wild because, you know, they say no GMO, yet all of it has been GMO for years and years and years. What happens to nanobots when their carrier is put into a microwave oven? You know, that is a great question. I wonder if they've ever had anything like that. I guess really all you'd have to look at is what is the frequency of the microwaves, and has that been applied to like graphene oxide or something similar? I mean, I'd imagine it'd work similar to most electronics, except when graphene starts to get into like the nanoscale, when you have like high frequency, like gigahertz, terahertz waves, it does really weird things that, like, based on, because when I just posted something about this where, you know, when you're in the megahertz waves for graphene oxide, as humidity decreases, sensitivity of the sensors increase. But when you get into the gigahertz waves, as the humidity increases, the sensitivity increases. So it does, graphene oxide is like this weird sort of variable in the way that physics kind of work, because it seems to just kind of play by its own rules. But I would be curious. Let's see. Frequency of waves from common microwave oven. Most common frequency for waves from a domestic microwave oven is 2.45 gigahertz. Isn't that crazy? Because I'm pretty sure the frequency of your router is 2.4. So if a microwave oven is emitting 2.45 gigahertz waves, and this is the average microwave oven, and your router can do 2.4 or double it to 5, I don't know how that's not a clear-cut case to show people that that wireless technology just literally just cooks you. It's terrain theory solution. There are a lot of natural means of helping support the body's natural detox. Is it enough? I don't know, but supporting with bitter greens, dandelions, cilantro, etc. Yeah, I would say that as far as like a detoxification goes, anybody that tells you that you can detox with something that was made in a laboratory is lying to you. Um, I would go as far to say that if something was made in a lab, you should probably not put it in your body. So I will eat a handful of dandelions live on stream every day before I ever even look at a drop of something like methylene blue, which turns out just helps increase the photosensitivity of fluorescent the fluorescent signaling. When 6G is fully deployed, do you think people realize the changes in their body? I don't. I don't think that they will. I think that what we'll see is something very similar to COVID, where, you know, as 5G was getting deployed, they said that the virus was going to have people like lose their sense of smell and all these other things that were actually just symptoms of 5G radiation poisoning. And slowly over time, you know, people have kind of gotten used to it. I think that a lot of the people that purport like these cases of like long COVID, I would be very interested to see where they live in proximity to a cell phone tower, and what sort of frequencies they're exposed to every day. Do you think in the day when cancer started, interference with the biofield? I think that ever since there was the introduction of wireless communication signals, that cancer rates have astronomically exploded. And the reason that I think that is because electromagnetic frequencies do one thing primarily, and that is they break down the telomeres in your DNA and cause mutations in your DNA. And that is what cancer is your DNA breaking down and becoming something entirely different from your original DNA, to the point where it metastasizes and becomes this benign lump of cells. And if electromagnetic frequency does that to your body all day, every day, 24/7, then it scientifically speaking, like, it will very clearly accelerate the rate at which cancer develops in people, especially young people. And if you look at the way cancer rates have gone, we are starting to see huge spikes in cancer rates of people in like their 30s and 40s, for example. Are you familiar with Dean's work, Sound for Sound, on Rumble? He finds occultic images, patterns, and messages in social media, photos, Google Maps, etc. I haven't heard of him, but I absolutely believe that. You know, I look at, you know, like Black Rock, for example. Even something as, you know, mundane as that has like esoteric and occult allusions to it. And especially when like you consider the like the old cartography maps where they would have a black stone in the middle of these maps and stuff. And I think there's a lot, you know, to say about that. And that goes back, you know, hundreds and hundreds of years. But I would never condone Rockefeller medicine. Food is medicine. Nature is medicine. Yeah, the Rockefeller takeover of the medical industry, starting back in like I would say it was probably like the 1910s, maybe, was when that kind of started. He had already sort of dipped a toe, but that's when you started to see like a very large institutional change like come from the Rockefeller Foundation and things like that. So I absolutely agree. I think that, you know, once medicine started to get away from, you know, I found these herbs and I ground them up in a pestle and mortar and you're able to eat these and, you know, see positive effects and stuff. And now it's, you know, we're going to create things in a lab and we're going to have them, you know, with like petroleum based medicines, and we're going to start giving you stuff in pill form. And that was really when the medical field transformed into the medical industry and became a solely for-profit machine that took over academia forcefully and then indoctrinated everybody that participated in academia into a cult of academia, where they are so concerned with pushing the boundaries and seeing if they're able to accomplish their goals that they never stop to question like the ramifications or the consequences or anybody that they'll impact negatively. And I mean, it's that tried and true, like, we were so busy focused on whether or not we could, we never stopped to ask if we should. They never stopped to ask if we should. Mammograms are a scam. They crush the breast, break cells that are healthy, intact, bruising them, which is internal bleeding and radiating them. I absolutely would believe that 110%. It's a cluster of oxygen deprived broken cells the body can't get rid of. That's what cancer is. And that starts from the breakdown of the telomeres in your DNA. And so yeah, I absolutely think that when it comes to 6G, that I honestly thought that when they started talking about bird flu making the rounds and there being like a couple of cases here in the United States, I was like, oh, okay, so we're getting ready to do 6G. I thought that's what that was going to be. Because, anytime that they're going to launch a new signal, it's always going to be an outbreak of like some sort of SARS-based infection. And the reason why is because wireless communication radiation, WCR for short, when you're exposed to that, it recreates the same symptomologies as like a respiratory disease. SARS is like one of the most primary respiratory diseases, if you can call it that. I don't believe it exists, but I think every single time that they launch a new, worldwide communication standardization, that they end up saying that there's a new, like we've had SARS directly, we had COVID, we had bird flu, we had swine flu, we had, what was the other one? If you consider the claims by people like Tom Cohen and Jamie Andrews that genetics and DNA are just a theory, and like viruses, they've never actually been proven to exist. Yeah, I've considered that. I think that where I kind of sit is anything that I'm not able to verify for myself, you just kind of have to like take things at face value, in a sense where, if everybody in the scientific community is saying that they're able to do these manipulations to DNA and they have mRNA messengers and things, it's like, okay, well, if we do have DNA, then all of this stuff is important. It's hard to say though. I've never seen DNA under a microscope. I'll say that. But I don't believe in viruses for sure. The only thing that makes me kind of believe in like a DNA is like genetics, seeing the pass down of similar traits from parent to offspring. And some of the like biology stuff. It's like if DNA and genetics didn't exist, then how do things like selective breeding work? Does that make sense? And that's not to say like they're outright wrong or lying or anything like that, but that would be sort of my question to them, I think. Are nanobots ferrous or non-ferrous? I think they can be both. I think it depends on the function of the nanobot and whether or not the function it needs to provide is dependent on being ferrous or not. But I've seen both. You usually get like those videos of that magnet where you see that black goo and it's like bubbling up all over the place. Looks like some sci-fi stuff. The the Rockefellers brought us germ theory, indirectly maybe brought us vaccines, and very directly brought us synthetic drugs as opposed to naturally sourced. Yeah, the Rockefellers were a huge proponent of vaccines. When you go back to like Mary Lasker, and you know, she was like considered the godmother of medicine in the 20th century, and she was super super close with Rockefeller and a lot of his health initiatives. They even have like the Lasker Awards today that like award pioneers and things like that in medicine. You should interview Tom Cohen to talk DNA, germ theory, etc. All right, so what I'll do is I'm gonna start a working list here, and I'm gonna start taking recommendations from you guys. So one would be Tom Cohen on genetics, DNA, germ theory, etc. I'll see if I can reach out to him. Mammograms might just be the leading cause of breast cancer. Thermography is much safer. I feel if people feel the need to do it, yeah. Hey Seven, that nanotech post on X was a banger. You and Ryan Christian are one of the few people in alt media who bring it up. Hey, thank you for that. Yeah, I'm actually supposed to be doing a show with him here soon. I believe it's going to be the first week of December. And we're going to kind of, because I believe the last one that we did was me sort of talking about like nanobiosym and you know, the Anita Goel and her connections to like DARPA and Lockheed Martin and PepsiCo and the wellness company. Could ultra powerful magnets be used to gather ferrous nanotech and remove it? So that's something that I'm not quite sure could work, because when we're talking about it being on like the nano scale, what I would worry about is the magnet having an effect on like the naturally occurring like ferrous materials in your body, like the iron in your blood, for example. You wouldn't want to use like some magnet that would maybe pull all of the iron in your blood to the surface or something. You know, it's kind of tough to I'm not an expert enough on the science, but I do think that most of the nanotech that they intend to stay in your body would probably be non-ferrous, but still works on like EMF. And yeah, and photonic, you have optogenetics. If we didn't have DNA, we wouldn't need to be constantly trying to genetically modify everything. That's true. That's true. I'd love to see a deep dive on urban health during the above ground power line era. Me too. Me too. Because from my understanding, most of the power lines were owned by Bell, or at least like the phone lines, which a lot of the power lines ended up piggybacking off of. And Bell is Bell Labs, AT&T. Talk to Chris Clutfield, 6'7" podcast on Rumble and 6'7" on YouTube. Like, legit? Or is that a meme? Because I know that's a meme the kids are doing these days. Jamie Andrews is a good DNA expert as well. He's very accessible on X, as is Cohen. Okay. And that's Jamie Andrews. DNA germ theory. Yeah, because I would like to see how they explain passing on like genetic traits, or passing on traits from the parent to the offspring when it comes to things like that, and like selective breeding and how that's able to be used systematically, especially like when you look at things like dogs and dog breeding. If the powers that be knew the secrets of what we are really made of, they would not tell us. That, I agree with that. I agree with that. Radiation frequencies and poison are the culprits as to why we fall ill. I do think that is why people get more sick more often. I think that electromagnetic frequency is constantly a suppressor of your immune system. And you know, with especially when you look at what vaccines have done over the past 100 years, they all attack your immune system. They all attack your immunization capabilities. And that's even going off of the official narrative of vaccines. Like, if I were to take doctors at face value, Rockefeller doctors, and what they say at face value, so what you're doing is you are genetically, or you're artificially attaching antibodies into me, as opposed to allowing my system to make them for themselves, which in turn then over time makes my immune system less capable of producing antibodies. And so it's never really made sense. Nobody's ever really been able to make vaccines make sense to me. Because even if you go by the official narrative, it is doing your immune system a disservice. 21st AZK, Dr. Anna Maria Mialcia, I think. Those jabs fucked people up. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Our immune systems are in constant overdrive and overworked more than they've ever been in history. Yes. That I absolutely agree with that. I think you know, they're at war with us through our guts, through the air, through frequency waves, through light waves. All kinds of things are constantly attacking your body 24/7. It's honestly, if anything, a testament to the human condition, the fact that we're all able to even function. Now, I think that it may have a lot to do with the decline in human function over the past, 30, 40 years. But we're still here, and we can still, make sentences, and some people are kind of smart. Not me, but some people. What you need is something with a frequency attachment, just like papaya seeds will magnetically attach itself to parasites and pull them out. I'd be interested to see the science behind that. Papaya seeds, huh? It's hell on earth while we get to watch all this happening and impacting us and others. Yeah, I think the worst part about this entire thing is that you learn what's sort of going on, and you try to tell people, and they hate you for it. And to me, it's like, okay, well, if I want to escape these things, I need other people. And if other people aren't willing to listen, then you're just sitting there screaming into the void until maybe a few people even understand what the fuck you're talking about. And that to me is, it sucks, because like when I start to learn the scale and the scope of a lot of these things, that doesn't blackpill me. That motivates me. That makes me say, oh wow, there's this whole new thing, and people need to know about this, and like, look at how evil these people can be, and maybe this will finally paint the picture to people just how fucking bad it is. And then you put it out there, and people don't get mad at you. They don't understand. Or they don't care. Yeah, exactly. The dissonance hits them so hard. Yeah, they do get mad. I feel different than I did when there were just 3 TV channels going through us. Yeah, exactly. In addition to chemtrails, genetically modified food poison the air, therefore soil, water, plants, and animals. Yes, the Internet of Booties. But yeah, I think that it's, if viruses aren't real, then the claims of gain of function can't be real. If genetics isn't real, then the claims of genetic modification can't be real. Just lies. People just talk about the game instead. Well, it just sucks because like you want to sit there and tell people about these DARPA projects that are going on, and things that are going on at the IEEE, and the fact that like digital twins are becoming a thing, and then you look online and it's all people seem to care about is the fact that Tucker Carlson talked to Nick Fuentes. And it's like, fuck, man, the powers that be are getting their way, because everyone would rather just focus on what is essentially soap opera politics from all of these fucking people than like doing actual research or giving a shit about anything that's not, I don't know, man. I see people like still wondering if Candace Owens is on their side and Tucker Carlson is on their side. And I just want to reach through the screen and shake these people and let them know how fucking misguided they are. I'm 35 years old and the only one autoimmune disease. God bless my internet-free, anti-vax homeschooling parents. Saturday morning EMF was the best. With a bowl of cereal and cartoons. Yep. Yes, we want to have meaningful conversations and they don't want to play. The Democrats, yeah. Soap opera politics. Yeah, and so, we sit there and we have like these talking heads that are still wondering about the Charlie Kirk thing. And it's like, that doesn't matter. I would even, so this might be a little bit of an unpopular opinion. The entire Epstein thing pales in comparison to the Internet of Bodies. The biodigital convergence. Was the Epstein stuff horrible? Yes. Was he evil? Yes. Was he contributing to a lot of the same things that are now contributing to the biodigital convergence? Yes. Where is it going to go? What is going to happen with it? Because it's going to be nothing. They're not going to do anything about it. And people are just going to stay focused on this. And nobody will ever look in these other directions. And it makes me feel like, what if, 60 years ago, they decided to create this sort of archetype character that would become, because if you think about it, has there been someone more hated than Epstein since like Hitler, for example? Like that seems to be like the next one, right? Because they prop Hitler up, they help him, come to power. He was a Rothschild, basically patsy, to allow all of the other countries around the world to establish initiatives to create globalism. And then they created the State of Israel. And then since then, has there been someone more hated than Jeffrey Epstein that they're able to just sort of, hey, look at this over here, look at this over here, look at how evil this guy is. Meanwhile, they're doing all of this other shit behind the scenes. We have to spin it using nanobots. We can save the children, track them in the tunnels, no matter how deep they go. I hate it. I hate it. I don't think any of these people should be tracking children. Plague of Corruption documentary. Have you seen it? I haven't. If you want to message it to me, or if you want to comment it down below this live stream, maybe you toss me a link to it. I'll be able to take a look at it. Well, the best science on antiparasitics is to dig through your poo. I think I will pass on that one. If anybody else would like to take a stab at it, I will not be donating samples. But let me know what you find. They're just using him as a distraction. There's probably 100 Epsteins out there. No one knows. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just look at like the Medicis, for example. I don't see anybody getting mad about the Medici sex trafficking. Who are these people? What's up, Indy? The obvious gets overlooked by their false flags. No one's been more hated than BB. And see, I mean to get the attention to the IEE tech, not to actually get people to do it. Oh, so you're saying frame the nanotechnology as a way to save the children. It's tough because I don't want to do that. Well, while it would be a good like hook to get people to start looking into some stuff, it would just be used to track the kids they're trafficking. They want to be able to keep up with their inventory. And that's not me laughing at that, but it's like, isn't that crazy to think that they would just end up using it for their own evils? You don't think Trump is hated more? I think that Epstein is the most hated person in the world right now. They already have it. Disney Magic Bands. Yeah, but these are the Disney bands that they put in your body. It's like if you were able to shrink the Disney band down to like the size of a red blood cell and then inject it into a child. And that's kind of where we're at already. You know, when I look at things like graphene oxide being able to be manipulated by wireless signals that get pushed by like an RFID chip. Gates runs a close second. I think so. Can you open that link? I don't see one. Oh, you commented it on the video, not in the chat. I see. Possibly. Let me check. Where do I see those? I don't remember where to see comments. There it is. It's not on there yet. The Rothschilds? Do enough people know about the Rothschilds to hate them more than Jeffrey Epstein? Because I would say that the reason is I don't know. So you know when it comes to like Netanyahu, obviously he's gonna have like the love and adoration of all the Zionists, all the anybody in Likud, half of our government, if not more. A lot of Jews, not all Jews, but a lot of Jews. And anybody else that's like, pro the expansion of Israel. I'd even think like the Saudi royal prince is a fan of Netanyahu. They have that whole Abrahamic alliance thing. But so when it comes to when it comes down to it, do you guys think that because here's where I'm at in my head. I think that we've been so desensitized to war that it bothers people more when you sexually abuse a child than it does when you just kill them. And I'm not really sure which one is worse because they're evil like in their own ways. But I think that people will look at they'll look at like children that die in these conflicts, and they'll just see it as like numbers on a screen. But there's something specific about like child sexual abuse that gets people to look at it more than just beyond these statistics, and I think it resonates with them more And I'm not really sure what that is. It could be that it's, you know, just a like a purely hedonistic thing, where, you know, when it comes to like combat and conflict and stuff, they're maybe able to like justify in their minds. You know, I don't think that there is a justification for it at all. But you know, like the way that they use like the self-defense thing or like casualties of war, it's like there is no casualty of pedophilia. They're all victims, you know. And so I think that it strikes like an extra specific chord, in the sense of people, you know, vilifying Epstein, rightfully so. But I think that's why I kind of see Epstein as being more like universally hated. I'm not sure if that makes sense. You know, like the argument could be made. I would disagree with the argument, but the argument could be made, you know, oh, he's just doing his job. He's trying to, you know, fight for the interests of his country, blah blah, all that stupid pro-Zionist bullshit that they say. There is no justification for pedophilia. There is no defense, right? And so that's why I think that it is, you know, sort of more vilified in like the public zeitgeist, to a degree. Even though I see both of them as absolutely terrible and kind of on the like exact same level, they're treated differently. And I think that killing children is seen as less evil because of that. I see them both as equally evil. Just leave the fucking kids alone, man. Murder is worst because it's taking life. People can't see what they refuse to see. Lester Laborsky. They desensitize us with everything. Yeah. None. We need millstones. New age shrinks are trying to make abnormal the new normal. And it's those inversions that they love to use, right? I mean that's why like the people, you know, that were part of like the Save the Children movement. Well, turns out you do a little bit of digging and you figure out who these people are and the things they're connected to. Turns out the ones that claim to be fighting child trafficking were the ones that were trafficking fucking children. And so they'll do that with everything. I mean, that's why our politics, you know, at this point isn't even believable. We're in like this inversion world where we can't even like take what are supposed to be like the pillars of our society seriously, because they have pretty much reached like what I considered to maybe be like the end game, where basically all we're doing now is biding our time until all of the you know, all of the different pillars of the digital control paradigm are in place. And they're going to keep dangling things like the Epstein investigations, like the Charlie Kirk bullshit. You know, they're going to do that ad infinitum. And I almost wonder how long it's going to take for the Epstein thing to finally ever like be closed. I stopped for squirrels. How could you hurt a child? No, I absolutely agree. Like I don't understand that it I don't think these people are human, and not in the sense that like I think they're you know, like aliens or anything like that. I think that they have been, you know, so indoctrinated into this cult that they've sort of like foregone their humanity, you know, like the empathy, the common goodwill towards your fellow man, things like that. I think that they see people as commodity, and that's it. Have you seen the patenta for weather modification and earthquakes? I have seen stuff on the Chinese earthquake machines before, but that was maybe like 10 years ago. And it was a documentary that is now no longer on YouTube. Remember America's Most Wanted TV show? You might be too young to remember the missing children segments. I do remember America's Most Wanted. I was a kid when it was on the air, but I do remember it. Something that a lot of people don't know, but us moms can 100% refuse the mandatory genetic testing at the hospital after birth. I think you should. Because I think like when you look at things like the Human Immunome Project and the Human Genome Project and things like that, that you're basically signing away consent for your child to have their, like their biometric information uh, put into a database. The only thing is Epstein stuff been out there for a while, but not until people start thinking Trump's in the files is when they vote to release the files. And see, that's what's crazy too, is like I have zero doubt that Donald Trump is in the files. I think that I would be shocked if there was a person whose name was a household name that wasn't in the files. I basically at the point now where I just assume anybody that is, worth more than like $50 million, they absolutely are in the file somewhere. And it doesn't matter like what field, what industry, finance, science, media, Hollywood, journalism, all these people that have huge capital behind their name. I think it's better to assume they're on the Epstein list and allow them to exonerate themselves, because where we're at right now is like we live in a very rigged two-tier justice system, and if we're all treated guilty until proven innocent, I don't know why we don't do the exact same thing to people that are in high positions of authority. We'll do guilty until proven innocent to random fucking people on the internet, but we won't do it to the elite. We won't do it to members of the government. You should automatically put them at a negative because the government is an authority and they tell you what to do. Or try to anyway. They think that they have like some sort of moral superiority to the rest of us and that they know better than us. And so anybody that is willing to participate in government or work with government in any capacity, be it a corporation, be it an organization, be it an individual, if you are cooperating with government entities, I consider you my enemy. Plain and simple. I don't care what capacity you're engaging with them in. I don't care whether you are being duped, whether you are knowingly working with the government and their agencies and extended organizations. Like, to me, that makes you my enemy. Plain and simple. They're look at, obviously the whole Rumble pipeline bullshit with Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, right? If I were to ever have believed that for a second, which thousands of people did, and they know that, their base was largely convinced that the deep state was the problem, how can you then go into the deep state and keep that trust? Because to me, the second that you take a position within government, you have now decided to take an oath of commitment to the state. And the state is the number one gateway for all of these people to be able to do these things. Government is the one that allows the grant and funding of scientific institutions. They're the ones that give the authority to usurp your wealth in the form of tax. They are the ones that allow, corporations to buy up swaths of land. They are the ones that are okay with doing government contracts and paying companies to install, wireless frequencies, create drones. They're the ones that fund these health initiatives. And so, when it comes to me, it's like if you can find a way to remove the government's authority over society, all the rest of it you can fight back against, because now there's no governing body that allows you to be put in a box. And that's why I'm always going to be like anti-government, because they're the ones that play mediator between the public and the people in charge. And they have always mediated in favor of the people in charge. And it's never failed. Even, someone like Ron Paul, who, when you look at him at like face value and the things that he says and like the way that he voted, you would think that it would be great. But he still took an oath of office for 30 years where he could have exposed all kinds of things, chose not to. And, here we are now with his son going and kissing the wall, and Ron Paul's in the Fed movement being used to usher in the digital currency, the CBDC system. It's been co-opted by technocrats, and that makes me question the entire thing from the get. And then, I look at like the fact that he's associated with people that are part of like the blockchain Congress or caucus, the blockchain caucus. And, he's really, really in with like a couple of crypto bros. And I'm like, okay, so maybe all of this was just sort of setting the foundation to get people to hate the Fed so they could vilify physical currency under the umbrella of the Federal Reserve in order to usher in this digital currency. Government's prime objective is self-preservation. Absolutely. Yeah, there was... I had spoken about something recently, and someone had told me something about, how are they able to do this without giving people informed consent? And I said, national security doesn't give a fuck about your consent. They never have. They never will. And, when you even look at like the Epstein list thing, right? The bill that Thomas Massie put in, there was a clause that says if it's going to, risk national security, then it needs to be redacted. So we're going to get the exact same fucking shit that we got the last time they released the Epstein files, where half of it is blocked out. So thanks, Thomas Massie, for giving us a fucking repeat. Not just self-preservation, but total control. Yeah, it's total control for the sake of self-preservation. And they'll do anything. They will lie. They will cheat, they will steal, they will kill, they will rape, they will traffic, they will mutilate, they will highly deceptive, they will commit terrorist acts, they will commit false flags on American soil against American citizens just to push a fucking narrative. I look at, let's look at Kent State. Let's look at the fact that they bombed the miners in Virginia. They ended up doing airstrikes against protesting miners in Virginia back in the day. Like they are totally and absolutely willing to kill you 100%. And if anybody goes up to Thomas Massie and they say, hey, would you rather do right by the American government or be fucking killed? He's going to do right by the American government and throw all of us under the bus. He comes from MIT, which is just military, industrial, technical, in my opinion, not Massachusetts Institute of Technology. MIT was set up with government money. MIT was the government investing in weaponizing science against its own citizens. That was in the 1800s. They were doing this. Look at the Civil War. Abraham Lincoln, supposed to be this great guy, literally was just fine with killing half of the country to get his point across. The founder of MIT was a Freemason. Were they? I don't think I was able to find any information on that. That was William Barton Rogers. Now, he did go to the College of William and Mary, which was the House of Orange, which is the house that ended up creating the Bilderberg. Kent State was a huge farce. They fight you very hard on the mandatory genetic testing and will make you think you cannot refuse it, but you can. I haven't successfully coached other moms through it. See, if I were a mother and I decided to go to a hospital to give birth to my child, I would never let that child out of my sight. From the second that it is breathing its own breath, no, you're not taking it into another room. No, you're not going to go scan my fucking baby. No, you're not going to inject him with shit. No, you're not going to draw his blood. None of that. Nothing but hostility towards all these goons. Dude, that's all they deserve. I call it shit in one hand, wish in the other, see which fills up first. Yeah. Blair Mountain, West Virginia. It was West Virginia. Got it. Yeah, Blair Mountain, West Virginia. The United States government bombed American citizens. House of Orange is Dutch royalty and societies. I'm getting paid $7,000 per comment. Man, that must be nice. You know, I really wish that I liked money, because it is really, really hard to sit here and, argue with brain dead people on the internet, knowing that they're getting paid and I'm not. Never, ever will I ever be able to be bought out. But god damn, dude, that would take care of my rent, all of my utility bills, all of my food, any sort of fucking payments that I had. I'd be able to pay down debt. And it's like, why can't we financially incentivize being a good person? Because if we did that, I would be getting... I would love $7,000, but instead you have to sell your soul and live in poverty if you want to be a good you have to sell your soul for the $7,000 and choose to live in poverty if you want to be a good person. Yes. People's souls are cheap. That's how all that blackmail works, but I'm with you. Would be nice. I'll be honest. When it comes to the blackmail thing, I think that the blackmail thing is a cop-out. I think that a lot of people who may claim to be blackmailed or may be framed as blackmailed, I think they wanted to do whatever it was that Epstein said. I don't think they needed to be blackmailed to go along with the agenda. I think that it is a cop-out for a lot of them who made a conscious decision to go along with the agenda. I think it is their way of saying, I had no choice. I had no choice. You always have a choice. You always have a choice. So when it comes to like the Epstein blackmail stuff, I'm like, only if you're able to be blackmailed. And you're only able to be blackmailed if you decide to go along with whatever the fuck it is. What you should, I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but to me, I think that people will begin to claim that they were blackmailed and they didn't have an option or whatever that looks like. And in all actuality, they didn't need to be blackmailed to do whatever fucked up thing they were asked to do on behalf of the powers that be. Because they're that fucked up. What if Epstein was part of the agenda to bring in this system? Warp speed is a blueprint polished under Obama. His DARPA worked on it for many years. Yeah, and Obama's, DARPA was just picking up from Bush's DARPA, who was picking up from Clinton's DARPA. Like Carlin said, it's a club and you ain't in it. or they're met with, that's a nice looking family you got there. It would be an awful shame if something happened to little Susie. What grade is she in now? Third grade. So this is one thing that I've always like kind of had a little bit of a concern with, right? Um, if you stumble onto information that would damage all of humanity, or would upend like some sort of system, like you see something that is impacting millions and millions of people, it seems somewhat selfish, in my opinion, to elevate the priority of your family over the truth. And that's going to sound extremely fucking insensitive. But okay, say I was put into a position where they said, you have to start, doing X, Y, and Z, or we're gonna kill your family. Like the bucking to that, or bending to that, I guess I should say, encourages the behavior further. It rewards the behavior instead of taking that and then exposing the shit and saying like, hey, look, everybody in the world, these people are threatening me and trying to blackmail me and threaten my family and shit. And they never do. They never do. They're like, okay, that's the, I guess I gotta listen. Does anybody ever try that? Has anybody ever had their family threatened and they expose the threats? Or is it they say that they threaten their family and that's all we ever get? You only go along with it if you're a pussy or you're compromised. Yeah, I mean, as fucked up as it sounds, like, if somebody said to me, like, I needed to help cover up an international child trafficking ring or they were going to kill my parents, but I had the opportunity to expose an international child trafficking ring that affected millions of people, I'm sorry, parents. I'm sorry. It's a sacrifice for the greater good. And I would feel compelled to do it. And if my parents can't understand that, well then, you know what? Maybe they deserve it. At the end of the day, I gotta live with my actions. If being like a zombie, climbing up over a wall of other zombies is like the movie, then let them reap what they sow. Plus, he wanted his seed out there to get girls pregnant. Yep. Honestly, I think they have the tech to just drop CSAM if they don't comply. That's fair. That's fair. I do think that they probably do deep fake people in precarious situations. It's just like, Massey, you got to give people a new box once they think they've gotten out of the main box. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what like the health freedom stuff was. Gangs work much the same. You have to do something or get jumped in, then you're part of the club or new family, and some will do it. And that's what I don't understand. Is like once you're approached and they're like, hey, you have to do this extremely fucked up thing. How do you not then at that point realize that you are part of the evil team? Make it make sense. I've published the data on warp speed and funding of mRNA transfections. Anyone remember the song Fishhead? I don't. I think Arizona or something like that. Arizona? Childless orphans or homeless people make the best vigilantes, nothing to lose. People with social attachments are compromised. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, like I'm not super close with my family. I barely have friends, you know, and currently, from my understanding, like the last diagnosis that I had was that there is a growth in my head, like right here. And so they said they didn't know what it was. They didn't say the C word, but it could be cancer. And even if that's not the case, you know, I'm on a ticking time clock anyway. And so I don't really have a whole lot to lose. You know, if anything, I would just hope that my loved ones would maybe take out like a very large life insurance policy on me. So that way they're at least like taken care of. Epstein Ranch in Arizona, I believe it was New Mexico specifically. They had a bunch of deals with like the New Mexico government. We died the day we were born. I've been in construction for 20 years. There are more bad people out there than most people want to believe. Abso-fucking-lutely, dude. When I start talking about like how shitty government is, people will say, yeah, at the highest levels, but local government isn't corrupt. And I'm like, have you ever looked into your local government? Have you ever looked into any local government anywhere? Because, you know, what I've come to understand is that if you dig into any local government at all, you find almost more corruption. Like I've looked at the local politics for my area, my city, my county, my state. It is fucked all the way across the board, and has been since way before I was alive. Zorro Ranch, yeah, it was New Mexico. Hey, all from Australia. And to your question 7, you know, Mike Gill has had all that happen to him. I've wanted to speak with Mike Gill, and the last time that I checked, Mike Gill blocked me, and I have no idea why. I don't know if did I say something? I don't understand, but the last I checked, Mike Gill had me blocked, and I'm like, dude, you're talking shit about Mike Flynn. You know, you go over all this stuff. I'm over here saying the same thing. I would love to get a first-hand accounting of all this stuff. But for some reason, I guess he just doesn't like me. I don't know. Akron's local government sucks. What's your opinion on Whitney Webb? You know, I get asked this a lot. I don't know. You know, I've seen some of the stuff that she publishes is fantastic. I think that, you know, when she talks about like Peter Thiel technocracy, you know, her stuff on Epstein is obviously like very extensive. But people have also brought up that she has like connections to different intelligence, and that maybe part of her family is something. I don't know. What I will say is that you should not be putting your trust in anybody on the internet, myself included. You know, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, you guys should always be doing your own research, always looking into, you know, things like that. You know, I've even spoken with Johnny Vedmore, her ex, and he's even said, you know, that there were intelligence connections and stuff like that that were really questionable. Now, who do I want to believe? Really, I don't give a shit. Because neither one of them are like my guide or like a mentor for me. And, you know, when it comes down to it, like everything that I'm going to read from either of them, I'm going to verify for myself, you know. Personally, I think she's legit, but that she even sometimes gets used by her connected fam members. And see, this is kind of where I'm at, is that when the information that comes out starts being incorrect, then I think that it is all the motivation in the world to kind of look a little further. But from my understanding, it's like, you know, the information that comes from Whitney is good information, but I also don't think it should ever be like your end all be all for your search for the truth. And if that's where you're leaving it, then you're doing yourself a disservice no matter who it is. Myself included. You know, like I would never want myself to be the sole source of someone's information, especially if they're not researching things on their own or like vetting or verifying the things I'm saying. And so that's, I guess, kind of a long way to say, I think that she does good work. I do have questions, but I've never been able to speak to her like directly and ask these questions. You know, a lot of it becomes like hearsay, like a, you know, referencing like Johnny Vedmore, you know, obviously her ex. So I think there's a little bit of maybe like a predisposition coming from a place of emotion there. So it's like I'm gonna take both of the things that they say, uh, you know, with sort of a grain of salt, because of the emotional attachment and stuff. But I was a consultant, not a contractor. I lived in the design and project management world. Um, but yeah, it's like you know, uh, I Dustin said Whitney is no different than Alex Jones in my opinion. I would I would say slightly different, in only in the sense that Alex Jones will just make stuff up. He'll just say stuff. Whitney at least is like pointing to financial records and things like that. You know, it might not be like a complete picture. But I do think she's slightly more informative than Alex Jones. DEI Alex Jones. I mean, you know, maybe. I would love to just one day have a conversation with her, but you know, I don't know if that's gonna happen. Which is honestly kind of ironic because there seems to always be this sentiment of like, you know, why won't people invite Whitney Webb onto podcasts? And I'm like, well, I've invited her onto my podcast and she never got back to me about it. So, uh, can't really like feel bad for that. But all of us are on a spectrum. I think every single person is on a spectrum as far as like limited information because nobody can know everything, right? Like even me. I am to a degree a limited hangout because how am I ever going to in my entire lifetime cover every single thing, you know? So what I would hope is that people look at the things that I do investigate, and if maybe there's something that I'm not covering, um, you know, maybe give me the benefit of the doubt a little bit in that I might just be ignorant of something and put it on my plate and, you know, present it to me. Call me out when you guys think that maybe I'm not covering something I should be, and, you know, give me uh you know, some good sources and things. But it's like I could be live every second of every day for the rest of my mortal life, and I will never cover every single thing that needs to be covered, or cover it in a way that it reaches every single person. And so it does become one of those things where you kind of have to play your own personal game and, you know, select the kind of things that you want to take away from people, you know. And Seven, I like the fact that you freely admit to what you don't know. I mean, I think that's important. You know, I think that ego is like a huge detractor away from this space. Something that I'm always seeing is like, well, this person covered it first. This person covered it better. This person is the authority on this topic. And in my opinion, that is like the most divisive thing that you can do, because in my opinion, like if somebody is just now starting to come on board and wake up, um making them feel bad and feel shitty and showing them all the things they don't know and how ignorant they are and talking down to them and saying you don't know anything, blah 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 blah, right? That is antithetical to getting people to your cause. And so, you know, I'm willing to admit, like, I'm ignorant as shit. You know, there was even there was something that came up in uh you know, a podcast that I was doing earlier. And he was like, "Have you ever heard of this?" And I was like, I don't even know what that is. and you know, that gives me the opportunity to learn, and that gives, you know, the audience the opportunity to learn new things as well, learn about new things. And I think that, you know, when it comes down to it, you know, I'm the first one to say, like, I haven't been doing this very long. You know, I was kind of into like surface level conspiracies and stuff back in the day. And, you know, only in the past like couple of years have I really kind of taken the researching stuff seriously. And I'm not that old, you know, I'm in my early 30s, and there's so much to know. And if I'm just going to sit there and pretend to know things I don't, that's just doing myself a disservice. That's doing you guys a disservice. And it does a disservice to anybody that's trying to share things, because then that automatically shuts down the conversation. Do you think Days of Noah is legit? He does a good job covering the technocracy like you do. Technocracy is the biggest part people need to get through their heads. I don't know much about Days of Noah. I don't think I've ever interacted with them or seen anything from them. Your stuff blows my mind. No one has done what you have there. It's awesome work, my friend. Keep it up. Is that me? What's up, Barry? How you doing, brother? I know one thing for sure, and it's that I know nothing. Yes. Yes, exactly. What I don't know is a lot. I don't know most things. Just say it, Seven Seas, you're third. Yeah, I am. I am. Yeah. I was actually, I was joking with my significant other, and I was like, I wonder if there's gonna be like some crazy fucking thing where, like, because I'm this age now, if I'm gonna be like approached, or I'm gonna get like the call, you know? Because of course they would. Of course they would wait until I'm specifically this age to be like, all right, so we see what you're doing, and now you're getting the call. And they'll be like, do you want $7,000 or should we kill your family? I'm gonna be like, man, gonna have to kill my family. Sorry, mom. What do you think of Meowlian? I love her work, same as yours. Yeah, no, I agree. Her and I have actually communicated a couple times. She is pulling some crazy threads on the Latter-day Saints and the Mormon Church. And I think it's awesome, because I think I just see Mormons, Scientologists, Jesuits, Freemasons, Zionists, Kabbalists, you name it. It's all the same shit. It's all the same shit. They might have slightly varying, you know, differences in beliefs, but to me, it's all the same people with the same goals, just reinterpreted to fit new sects of people. But yeah, I think Meowlian's great. What is your thinking on Bill Cooper? I think that Bill Cooper, the one thing that is a huge red flag for me is that he was naval intelligence, I believe. Now, you know, that is to kind of say that, you know, I do think that some people could maybe have like a genuine change of heart. It's really, really hard to believe that somebody that is sort of connected to those intelligence agencies would be allowed to operate as long as he did. And the only thing that I think maybe kind of saves him is that he was killed by the FBI. Like, if Bill Cooper were still around today, I probably wouldn't trust him. But because he was killed, allegedly, you know, no telling. But since he was allegedly killed by the FBI, that gives me a little bit more of a reason to kind of believe the things that he was saying. And I mean, you know, a lot of the predictions and stuff that he made over the years kind of came true. Now, whether he was there to be like a controlled disclosure kind of thing, or if he was genuine, I don't think we'll ever know. But he provided good information. LDS connection to Israel and Kirk case is wild. I've seen a lot of that stuff coming up. And I'm actually doing a show with Kristen Bidding of Iconic next week. She's or no after Thanksgiving. It's going to be I think the first week of December also. Um and I think that her and I are going to be talking about the Mormon Church and LDS and stuff. She was like, "It's like kicking the beehive," and I was like, "I see what you did there." Behold a Pale Horse was an interesting book. Yeah, see, I sort of see, it could go either way. Where like I see like Edward Snowden. I think Edward Snowden was a bad actor from the beginning. I think that especially when you look at like his contracting with like Booz Allen Hamilton and shit like that, that to me lets me know he didn't give a fuck about Americans or your privacy. Because he was working at Booz Allen Hamilton, and anyone that's part of Booz Allen Hamilton is automatically a piece of shit in my book. And then him working with Glenn Greenwald to provide a controlled disclosure of Project Prism. I bought Behold a Pale Horse in Barnes and Noble like a dummy, a whole chapter gone. I think it was 6. I can't remember which chapter it was, but yeah, you're right. I think Bill Cooper was a litmus test. Let the truth out and see how many start to notice. Yeah. Give me some sleep, peeps. I think only primitive humans are not part of any agenda because they were on their own. Weeks after Kirk thing, a truck ran into an LDS church in Utah. Pics of scene look staged as fuck. Well, there's a lot too with like Joseph Smith and like isn't Mitt Romney a Mormon? I'm pretty sure Mitt Romney is Mormon, right? As you started talking about Mormons. Oh, X. Nah. I do have to be transparent about that. That's probably what it looks like. But not to conspiracy, brain you guys or anything, but I did set my live stream on Twitter to end sharply at 8:30. I'm actually a little over time. Because I will be going live tomorrow. And I'll also be doing a live stream on Saturday with Wheezy. So him and I will both be we'll both be streaming it, like co-streaming together. George Zinn arrested for CSAM on day of Kirk's death. Wild. K friends and 7, I'm heading out in a sec. I do miss you all. It was nice to see you all. Barry, it was nice to see you too, brother. I literally had your email pulled up about the water today. I have something typed up, and I'm gonna make sure I send something over to you because you've been trying to help me, and I have not been letting you help me, and I'm sorry for that. What other platforms is this stream on now, 7? So it is on YouTube, Rumble, and it was on Twitter. I did have my own website for a while. I stopped being able to pay for it was basically it. Because I'm not getting $7,000 a month from Israel, I couldn't afford to keep my website going. Hopefully it's something I can bring back in the future. But as of right now, it just started to get a little too expensive. But who knows? Maybe we'll be able to bring that back sometime in the near future. Maybe even bring a chat or something like that on there as well. Somebody's cat is more informative than our exchange. Either litmus test or they just add to the confusion. Like right now, nobody knows what to believe and cause chaos. It all works to the owners of this world to cause confusion and make us give in to AI. What's the topic with Wheezy on Saturday? I was thinking that we would possibly go back to the nuke thing and talk about some of the people that were involved with the Manhattan Project and guess Media Matters. Stop thinking you matter. Media Matters. Media Matters. I don't even know who that is. So I guess they don't matter. I don't know. Ironic you have to pay for your site, but these data center sites offer all of the data for free. Yeah, I know, right? And two, I love my website. My website is probably, it's this much code, and it's literally just header, a link for a donation in case you guys want to donate, and then an embed for the stream. There's no tracking. You don't have to create an account. There's no logging in. There's no ads. There's no trackers. I'm not fucking looking at your metadata. You just get me raw, unfiltered, uncensored, unbannable. But it is on a very temporary hiatus until I can get my funds back in order. Get Buy Me a Coffee. I did have to reactivate my Buy Me a Coffee. So that is active. My Ko-Fi is active. I'm really wanting to do some more merch. Just a joke. Media Matters. We're paying influencers $7K. Got trash talking Candace and Tucker. Dude, I will totally trash talk Tucker Carlson. Let's go. Will they give me $7,000 if I talk shit about Tucker Carlson? Because I absolutely will. I'll call him a fucking fed all day, because that's what he is. What's your Cash App? I don't have one. Hopefully you got your water heater replaced. I did. I covered that at the top of the stream. Took me a few days. But I learned all kinds of shit about water heaters, and now I feel comfortable not only replacing mine in the future, but also if I ever needed to upgrade to a tankless, I would do that. How much USSA Fed money do you need a year for that site? I will mail it to you. Well, it's so it's $15 a month for the site, and if I wanted to keep my videos on there, that's when it started to get like really, really expensive. But I would say it's like close to about $15 a month. Now that's not saying that you have to send me money or anything like that. But hopefully it's one of those things where just as I keep going and keep growing and things like that, I really would just love to make money off of just the ad revenue, and you guys, keep your money and stuff like that. But I also can't stop you if you do want to support me. So I appreciate everybody that does. You need to show your brown eye to get the $7,000 per post. Which one? They're both brown. I'm doing this for both so that I don't get the whole one eye imagery thing. It was, so you guys know how on my profile picture it's like me doing this. Someone said it was a satanic hand that I was holding up in my profile picture, and I was like, dude, I was doing this as like, look, like when you take something and like put it in someone's face, but it's my webs. That's what I was going for. But I guess when you do this, you're hailing Satan or something. I don't know. I didn't know that, but I guess that's a thing. Haven't been watching mainstream media. Good. Swanson TV dinner Nepo baby fed. Yes, dude. Email me when you get time. Send me an addy for you. You got it, brother. You got it. What I would love is, I would love to get a PO box. So that way, like, if you guys ever wanted to, send me like something like books or research material or anything like that. Can't do nothing without getting accused of Satanism. Dude, tell me about it. Tell me about it. People think that I'm a Satanist. They've called me a Kabbalist and shit because I use the word or the number 7 in my name. And I'm like, dude, I just like puns, and it's a pun. It literally is just a pun. I was high and I was 19 and it's just stuck with me through my whole life. Someone else has to pay for the PO box, man. Come on, guys. Yeah, we'll get it all figured out. But if you guys do like want to support me or whatever, there are some donate links. I believe they're in the description. I don't remember. I'm really bad at selling myself, you guys. Yeah, there should be a link tree in the description. Couple of different ways to donate. I've got Substack on there as well. If you guys want to check out some of the merch, I create all the merch myself. That way, I hope that people would use them as like conversation starters, wear them out in public, and people be like, what the fuck is that shirt about? And then that gives you the chance to talk about like biodigital convergence or technocracies or something like that. And try to make them affordable, no like $40 t-shirts or anything. And it's really good quality. I'm selling them for as cheap as I can. I only make like $5 per shirt. And so, yeah, just trying to keep costs low because I know what it's like being just a regular fucking everyday guy. Just trying to make it fucking week to week, paycheck to paycheck and shit. And I can't afford a fucking $40-$50 t-shirt. So I wouldn't want you guys to do that either. Banquet brand frozen turkey dinners are 25% off at Walmart. Happy Thanksgiving. Oh yeah, but also you can't use EBT for it. Happy fucking Thanksgiving. It was funny, man. My friend was like, dude, I gotta get a turkey because the grocery stores are about to be hell. And I'm like, dude, you do realize that like a lot of people aren't gonna be able to buy food this month, right? Like it shouldn't be as busy as it normally is. And yes, that did come across insensitive, but it was a private conversation between two friends that I've now publicized. But tell me that I'm wrong. Anyway, it's getting about that time. I do have a stream planned for tomorrow. We're going to be kind of doing like a research stream. I have 2 suggestions for stream. Talk to either Tom Cohen or Jamie Andrews. I believe there were, I want to get like 1 or 2 more recommendations for stream. Call Gillette for a sponsorship. Would they? It doesn't look like I know what they are. $50 shirt. What the actual fuck is that a thing? I've seen it. I've seen it. What's your email address? Contact 7Cs at proton.me. No spaces. Contact the number 7 SEES at proton.me. And anything you guys want to send me over there, get a P.O. box and we can send you a beard grooming kit. I wouldn't be opposed to it. Get whole chicken and pretend it's a midget turkey. That's perfectly fine. I don't see why you couldn't. They're basically the same thing, except chicken isn't as dry because the past Gillette stuff was gay. Well, no, now I don't want to. I don't want gay stuff. What am I, Nick Fuentes? Anyway, peace out, everybody. I hope you have an awesome rest of your night. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and just keeping up with me and supporting me and just spending this time together. We'll be back with another one tomorrow. We're gonna be doing a research stream, and then Saturday we're gonna be on with Wheezy. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your night. Peace out, everybody, and we'll see you then.